Are you holding your pieces of paper?
Yeah, well, I've got it. I'm feeling more and more official.
You've got notes.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Aftermatch with Kirsten Beav. Great to have you back, and thank you so many to all of you who have subscribed to our YouTube channel, subscribed to Spotify, to Apple Music, followed us on TikTok, Instagram. Loving having your interaction, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, I actually had some feedback directly
Oh,
to
what's
me.
your feedback?
Couldn't see your face behind your microphone.
Intentional.
Yeah, well, I didn't know if that was a positive or a negative because it came from my brother. So, but no, I've been getting a lot of good feedback. A lot of people out there listening to it, Kirst.
Mum and Dad are always your harshest critics. So
Yes.
what are they saying?
Well, they didn't see the first episode because they didn't quite realise how to subscribe. So their technical know-how is related to me, and we all know that that's not strong. So you had to talk me through how to subscribe to the YouTube channel. So we've done that now for them.
Quick little catch up from the weekend. What did you get up to? Fishing?
Went fishing and provided, obviously. Thank you for noticing.
Thank you for the
Yes.
snapper.
Yeah, because you
Bowie's going to love his dinner tonight.
He will.
Fresh fish.
Big and strong, plenty of protein. And bit of an issue last night at the kids' athletics. They did their sprint races. They finished with a 400 metre, and it's fair to say my hamstring.
Hold on, were you doing the 400?
Yeah, because Liv wasn't, my oldest daughter, 6, she wasn't convinced she could get around the track.
Oh.
And she said, come with. And I said, yeah, of course. And I was just, I hadn't warmed up.
You're an 800 metre specialist
Yeah.
in your day, and you're telling me you couldn't do half of that with your 6-year-old.
Auckland secondary school champion, 1999. But no, I couldn't. I tweaked my hamstring, which was a bit embarrassing, and I just had to keep going because I didn't want to look like the guy that couldn't run 400 metres.
This is why you've come in limping today.
Being an ex-pro athlete.
Yeah, so you just had to keep going.
Yeah.
And now you've torn yourself to shreds.
Yeah, so there'll be no exercise for the next few weeks in my world.
Well, there's a few things that we need to address, actually.
Yes.
We've had plenty of comments, and as we've always told you, we want you to get involved in the program. This is just as much your podcast as it is ours. So we've been looking through all of your messages, all of your comments, and here's one that we really need to address.
Yes.
Because it's serious, so we'll start with it at the top. TVPC3194 says, these two really hate the Irish. New Zealand really is racist against Ireland. Now, I can't even remember what we said last week, aside from the fact that Ireland's best 3 players are New Zealanders.
Yeah, TVPC 3194. That's a horrible statement, and one that I take great offence to. Defamatory, and I'll take great offence to that, saying that I hate the Irish because, first of all, I spent the weekend fishing with one of your greatest halfbacks of all time, not Peter Stringer, no, Isaac Boss. I love James Lowe. I've had beers with Bundy Archie before. I've had Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, the best Christmas Eve of my life, in Middleton, County Cork. Christelle is still one of the greatest nightclubs in Dublin that I've ever been to. And the Guinness Factory is the greatest guided tour I've ever been on, Kirst. So how can you say I don't like the Irish?
So you're actually saying you love Ireland
I
and
love
you love
Ireland.
the Irish.
And I love the Irish. And I can't wait to see you all in Chicago for our first ever live podcast.
We'll be there in November 1.
Yeah.
That's the aim. That's the goal, to take you all along.
TVPC 3194, first of all, get a better name and do not make such outrageous statements on our comment section.
What would you suggest for his name?
Trevor, I would say. Well, if it's TVPC, he sounds like Trevor to me.
Trevor.
It's Trevor from Ireland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll move on.
Okay.
But thank you for addressing those comments. Now, look.
Actually, before we leave the Irish, all the best for the decider this weekend. I hope you get up over the French.
Oh, so you want them to win the Six
good on
Nations.
you.
There you go.
Yeah.
You come here for everything when it comes to rugby, your stats, your facts. What about Beaver being the oracle? Can we address the fact that week 1, Beaver talks about Timothy Tavatanawai being his All Blacks bolter. Hello, by week 2, every single paper is saying the same thing. I think you mentioned last week that Harry Godfrey is the next Beauden Barrett. Give him 2 years under your wing, of course. Well, more and more people are saying he doesn't just look like Beaudy, but he could be Beaudy, the real deal. And then on the Sky Television's coverage on the weekend, you were made to pick a first try scorer before the match. He pulls out Nathan Hastie. Nathan Hastie out of the bag. Guess who scores the first try in the match?
Yeah, well, guess who didn't back himself with his own thoughts? I would have been about a few $100 richer. But wonderful to make me look good there, young Nathan. But yes, would have liked to put that on my account.
So put your Oracle hat back on because we are starting with a bang today. We are starting with a big exclusive that the Oracle has brought to us. In the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about code hoppers who you would love to see play for the Wallabies. We talked about Nathan Cleary.
Yes.
And actually, he was asked about that in Las Vegas over the weekend when the Panthers started their season over there. So thank you. Thank you, the aftermatch.
The stretch of the aftermatch.
Going global.
Yes.
And then last week, some of you came to us and said, hold on a minute, what about the All Blacks? What about Joey Manu? Love to see it. We talked about it.
Possible.
Week 3, and the second biggest name in the NRL, Kalyn Ponga. You're hearing things, Beav. You are hearing things about the great New Zealander.
Yes.
I can't call him a Kiwi.
No, not yet.
But he is a great New Zealander.
No, because a lot of you messaged in when we were having the Cleary chat and said, what about Kalyn Ponga? He has a pedigree in the 15-man game. He was a superstar. Was it Joey's or one of those?
So he did play. He did play union. In New Zealand or
Aussie?
In Aussie.
But
he did grow up in New Zealand for a little bit before moving over.
And then played, I think he was a 10. And you see all the YouTube clips and what have you. And a lot of you messaged in saying, Kalyn Ponga. Well, yes, I must admit, in the last couple of weeks, Kirst, a little contact of mine in Australia has let it slip that he is under the impression that rugby union is still on the table for Kalyn Ponga, but where Wallabies fans wouldn't be happy is again, the rumour mill tells me New Zealand.
Is that a surprise? He's always said he wants to play for the All Blacks, so I don't think that is shocking.
No, and if you couple that with the fact that a couple of weeks ago he was in the Māori All-Stars and he talked how glowingly about the experience that was and how connected he feels to it, maybe there's something in that, Kirst.
So your mates across the ditch are telling you that Kalyn Ponga is in talks with New Zealand to come to Super Rugby.
That's the grapevine.
That is what the grapevine is saying. That is huge news. That is like, in basketball how they have Wodge bombs?
Yes.
That is a Beaver bomb.
Is that like the trade that they just had?
Exactly.
There we go.
This is a Beaver bomb. Kalyn Ponga in talks to come across to Super Rugby.
Would be something, wouldn't it?
If it, huge news. We thought that Joseph Suoli'i coming to the Waratahs was the biggest signing in how long? And it has been, although injured, so he's only played one game to start Super Rugby, but massive internationally for the Wallabies.
Yep.
If Kalyn Ponga came across to Super Rugby, does that trump the Suoli'i news?
Well, it would give this country something, wouldn't it? I mean, we've already got, I guess, our established rugby stars, but Kalyn Ponga would be, he would put bums on seats.
Where does he play? You just said for the Joeys. For the Joeys.
Don't quote me that was his high school, but that's about one Aussie high school that does ring a bell.
For the Joeys, he played 10.
I'm not sure it was the Joeys.
In league, he can play fullback, he can play in the halves, he can play anywhere, this guy, can't he? Where is he playing in rugby union?
I think because obviously high school's one thing, the pros or Super Rugby or international's another thing, he'd have to start at 15.
Start at 15?
Yep.
Hold on, what about if you get your hands on him for 2 years like Harry Godfrey?
Well, he'll develop it. You never know, it could be a 10 as well. And it would depend if our oil's right that it's New Zealand, not Australia he's talking to.
So if this rumour is true and he's in talks to come to a New Zealand Super Rugby franchise next season, where's he going? You keep saying Chiefs for everyone because you are Chiefs through and through till you die.
Well, so's Joey Manu.
Joey Manu, you're hoping that he is too. Yep. But if he's playing 15, you've got to look where the openings are.
Yeah, BV.
And he is a Palmerston North boy.
Right, yeah, there you go. Palm boy. Canes, natural fit.
Hurricanes for Kalyn Ponga 2026.
He looked good in their kit too, wouldn't he?
Yellow and black.
Yeah.
He would have grown up watching the Hurricanes. He would have grown up watching Christian Callan.
Would have been Kelly.
It would have been Kelly.
Corey Jane. Yeah. Gets a chance to be coached by Siege.
CJ.
Don't know. We should ring up CJ and see if there's any
why
truth
don't
to
we?
it. Should ring him up.
That's big news. Thank you for bringing that to the program.
Yeah, a bit of grapevine for you.
That's massive. I'm actually a little bit shocked. I know he's always talked about All Black ambitions. So, in saying that, if he did come across next year to Super Rugby, that gives him enough time. Would he crack the All Blacks 2027 World Cup for you?
With Joey Manu?
Well, you've already said on our previous wonderful radio show that your 2027 All Blacks midfield, Joseph Manu and...
I didn't think I gave him a partner.
You just said he will be starting midfielder for the All Blacks at the 2027 World Cup.
Yep.
Is Kalyn Ponga the same? Can he have that bigger impact in such a short space of time? He's not like...
Look what Joseph Suaali's done. How quick. I mean, obviously, Aussie, lot easier access straight in. No disrespect, but it is what it is. So,
is Ponga a better athlete, would you say?
More strings to the bow, probably, as far as ball playing and all the rest of it. But he would be in the squad. He's in the squad.
Was he a better athlete than Roger Tuivasa-Sheck when he came over?
No. Well,
Ponga
equal.
isn't?
No, equal. Yeah, Roger was a super athlete.
But we've just got to, compare apples and apples here.
Roger came in trying to be a midfielder. I still think that was a bit botched.
Position.
If Roger came in as an outside back, I think we could still be seeing him in an All Black jersey.
Was that his decision, though?
Probably
not.
No.
Kalyn Ponga, you've got me interested now. Can we fast forward to 2026? Or can this news officially come out if it is indeed true? I'm sure we're going to get messages about it now.
We'll find out.
Look, if you know anything, slide into our DMs and tell us, green light, yep, it's happening, or you guys are totally off the mark. You tell us if you know anything about this news. Beaver might be talking absolute rubbish.
Not for the first time.
Absolute rubbish. He could be. Okay, let's talk about it then. Since we're talking Super Rugby, and to be fair, the competition across 3 weeks, we've said it every week. It has been absolutely brilliant. I think there's only been one blowout in the competition. There's 3 Australian teams, 3 New Zealand teams sitting in the top 6 at the moment. Everyone is fairly even. But I want you to rank, based on what you've seen across 3 weeks, rank the New Zealand sides from 6 to 1, and this is including Moana Pacifica. I'm putting them into the New Zealand category. Where do they stand? Or go 1 to 6, whatever floats your boat.
I'll go 1 to 6.
1 to 6.
Chiefs.
Yes, easy one.
Clear and obvious right at the moment. Landers by a smidgen at 2. Blues hot on the tail at 3. So far, you'd have to say. No, you don't have to say. I'll leave the Hurricanes at 4.
Ooh, the Crusaders are
Crusaders
low.
at 5, but only because Crusaders had a week off and they're 1 from 2. And then Moana at 6, which feels rough on Moana considering how they've gone.
But they're 0 from 3.
It's the competition we're living in now. It's a very competitive competition. Crusaders, for me, they won't be 5th by the end of it. But if you're asking after three rounds, then that's the way you'd have it. So
the Blues, not so much now that they're 3rd, but the Blues and the Hurricanes, they're just not where they were last year. No, I still think there's massive, massive upside to both of them. I think you saw a Blues team a little bit different in configuration around Hoskins at 8. Suafua looks a lot better at 6 than he did at 8. He starts to look like what they could have had last year as far as a bruiser at 6. And the young lock... Josh Beer? Josh Beer. I'm going to go with Beer. Beer's the theme of the day. You'll hear a bit more about Beers soon. He really impressed. Bears. He really impressed me. Just his physicality around the place, the nuisance value, looks like a big unit. 21, 1.97. Yeah, so it's a good size unit. So it's good size. Yeah, it's a real good size. And he's young. And young and just abrasive. So all of a sudden that pack looks good, looks different, looks physical. So the Blues are on the up for you. Blues are on the up. And the great thing about the Blues is when the game was on the line, it was the all-star back line that they have, all black, all-star, whatever you want to call it, that got them home. And maybe that might be a little bit of an indicator to where they could head. Okay, well, here's some instant reaction from Instagram yesterday. We asked you your thoughts from the weekend, and someone said, should the Blues put Beauden Barrett to 10 now? What are they waiting for? A 15 to say, put me at 15? Like the Jacob McKenzie conundrum. Yeah. What are the Chiefs' alternatives? Well, they are sorted now because he's come back driving a white Tesla from Japan, and his name is Shooter, Sean Stevenson. Yes. Flashing the cash already. Was it a Tesla, It was a Tesla that he was picking Quinn Tupaia and Anton Leonard-Brown up in. Well, I knew he was in the market for some new houses, but I didn't know New wheels too. So thank you, Elon Musk. I don't know if he was sponsoring Kubota or not. So their conundrum is solved somewhat, the Chiefs. Yeah, so essentially in the first few weeks you were comparing who's better, Jacob or the alternative 15?
Now they went, no, Jacob's a better 10 than whoever we're going to put at 15. So Damien goes there. Are the Blues doing the same with who's better, a Harry Plummer or whoever would throw at 15 at the moment? And they decided, no, a Harry Plummer got us to the title, so he stays at 10 and Beaudy's at 15.
So what you're saying is they're waiting for Stephen Peddle-Fettick to be back fit and available.
I would suggest so. Because right now, that's still a strong swing.
Would they have won their first 2 games if Beauden was at 10?
Even before Harry Plummer got subbed, they were getting a little bit more interchangeable.
But it was such a clear difference. Just like round 1 when Damien switched into 10, there was a clear difference that they started playing when Beaudy moved in.
Well, you look at it, and I won't put it as try of a season because there's just been too many from Drua games recently that have that
the winger on the weekend is exceptional.
But you look at the try that Beaudy started the match winner in the end.
Yeah,
where did he do it from?
Yeah.
Did it from 15.
Yeah.
And then slotted into 10 because he was there and it all flowed. But
they were playing with the ball more.
They were playing with the ball. And they hadn't
been doing that.
And that's probably Beaudy's influence when he is at 10. We're just saying, I know we might be looking to do this, but I can see that, so we're going to do it.
We had another question come through on our DMs yesterday. People have been sliding into the DMs, not sure just individually or show page. But someone asked, Beaudy's had a 12-year international career. Why is he not held in the same stature or regard as the great DC? Funnily enough, you weren't mentioned in that conversation. But why is he...
DC and Beaver?
Just DC in this one, from what I remember. Why is he not held in the same regard, and why has he not had a prolonged period of time at 10 at international level?
Well, first of all...
Great question.
Great question. And we love these questions. Keep them coming in on all the platforms. DMs, I think you call it, isn't it?
You know what they are. They're open.
DC. Who's compared to DC? Richie McCaw, Colin Meads, Jonah Lomu. Like, you're talking about...
the upper echelon.
An absolute top. Sorry, Brody Retallick. I know the Guz will be fuming if I chuck him in there too, and rightfully so. So you're talking about 4 or 5 in 115, 20-year history that are talked about in the same bracket as DC. So you've got to take that into consideration. Beauden Barrett, hands down, the greatest bench player he's ever been. Like, when you think about it.
I know, but it's just so crazy talking about him being the greatest impact player.
He is. And the question about...
But he's got more to offer than just being an impact player.
But that's one good thing to hang your hat on. First of
all.
No
one wants to be on the bench, Beav, as you know.
No.
Whether you're under 7s and having the year of your life, or
absolutely.
Whether you're a 32-year-old established All Black.
Well, before I was so really interrupted, there's about 3 parts to that question I've got to get through. Okay,
continue.
So I've clarified why the DC thing.
No one's compared to DC unless you're Brody Retallick, Richie McCaw, or the great Pine Tree.
Yep. I've now talked about the greatest bench player of all time, which I think, as time goes on, will be some achievement to have. But the prolonged time at 10, great part, I think that's the guts of the question, really, the prolonged part, before I was so really interrupted there. Who was that from, by the way?
I'm so sorry, I didn't write down your name.
Okay, yeah.
But it was great.
Bit of research, please. When he first came in and had the full access, I guess, post the DC, Aaron Cruden was still around. And Aaron Cruden was at the top of his game before any of the injuries that unfortunately really stifled Cruds' career. So they were going toe for toe, and you couldn't argue either way there because Cruds, as I say, when he was at the top of his game, he was on a trajectory to start talking about DC.
Well, he made the World Cup squad in 2011 over you, Beav.
Yeah, well, I mean, we can debate that on another show. But, Cruds will say his thing, I'll say mine. We could do it on as a guest. But
we'll have to bring Ted in then as well, and the selection panel.
I'll have to have a word to him too. But then, so you had that aspect, and then post Cruds leaving the country, it was going to be Beaudy's time at 10, and then the emergence of Richie at the Crusaders, and then this fascination that they decided that let's have 10 and 15 as well, the dual playmakers that was so hot topic there for a while, leading into the 19 World Cup, that they decided, right, we need both of them. And who's more capable of being a starting 15? Well, Beaudy had history there, like lots of history. So Richie stays at 10, Beaudy at 15. Therefore, that's why he's never got the prolonged time at 10, I believe. It's just been circumstances.
And then in the last 2 years, it's been a head-to-head competition between him and Damien McKenzie. And they've literally flipped a coin, what it seems like, every other test weekend, and chopped and changed between the two.
And both of them equally have the 10-15 bracket. So, and then, again, coaches at NPC, not NPC, but Super Rugby level, if there's an issue at their level, we can put him there. Their ability to play, few guys I can think of can play another position as equally as good as those, like the ones that we're just mentioning there. Like 10 or 15 for them, usually there's a drop-off when you change people around in some positions, they're better at one. Not those two.
Okay, potentially Kalyn Ponga in 2 years' time when you get your hands on him.
Yeah,
you could add him to the list.
Well, not if he's going to the Hurricanes. If he was a chief, maybe.
So we've been derailed here. Wanted you to rank the New Zealand teams, which you've done superbly.
Yes.
Even though Crusaders fans will be absolutely disgusted that they are sitting in fifth on your list right now. They will be, and they're going to remind you in the DMs. But Australians, who have been mightily impressive this year, we've got to give them their credit. Who's been the best of the bunch out of the Australians? If I give you the standings. So Reds sit second on the table, best of the Australians, Force in fourth. Wonderful start to the season for the Force. Waratahs in fifth. Brumbies in seventh out of the six. Yep. No one probably predicted that. And Drua in 10th. Also, no one would have predicted the Drua to be sitting last, considering where they've been. They've been in playoff contention for the last few years. Is that accurate? Or who would be your best Australian team that you've seen across the first three rounds?
So I'd say Waratahs by an absolute smidgen. Because they're 2 from 2.
Smidgen?
I think it's smidgen.
Why are you looking at our producer?
He's the intelligent one here.
Smidgen.
Smidgen.
No T on the end.
No T, okay.
By the way, Ducks at Wesley College, 2001.
Very small margin, what I'm saying. And then it's just all equal. Even the Brumbies, who we mentioned, surprisingly, they look so good against the Chiefs. And the great thing about the Brumbies is, we've been accustomed to them probably the last decade or so being wonderful at line-out drives and not a whole lot else. Their back play, their interchange, a couple of the tries they scored.
What's changed?
I'm trying to think. Well, Larkham's been in and around.
He's been there for a few years now.
They've just started to play a little bit more expansively. Yeah, like Larkham. Like you're saying, right, let's just pretend you're me, Gregan, more like Gato.
Let's just take it back to the 90s.
Some of those you were there. Some of those tries were so slick.
Well, I wasn't. I was in Wellington.
You were in Wellington.
But
I was getting mistaken to someone else.
But great. They could have beaten the Chiefs.
Yeah, absolutely.
They could have beaten them, which would have been a massive shock considering where the Chiefs have been in the last few weeks.
Absolutely. And you mentioned the Drua. I mean, your heart breaks with a Drua. They're 0-3.
Most entertaining team and most athletic team in world rugby. No arguments.
They could easily be 3 from 3.
Yeah.
And when you think about, the tries they scored in Napier that I was there live to see, they were breathtaking. And then you saw the ones against the Waratahs.
They do it every week, Beav.
I'm trying to think. The right winger.
Yeah, it was amazing. Amazing.
Just absolutely stood, you just, poor Drua. Good luck keeping him on your books. There will be everyone in the world trying to put a few zeros on his contract right now.
And that's something that you have to think about. This team has been through so many different players in the last 3.5 seasons.
Yes.
And they still keep producing them.
But I had a good conversation with now national coach McMillan about it. He said that's what it's there for. It is literally to get the boys from the villages
and help their families.
Say go, and and they'd never hold them back because they know the opportunities that it presents for them.
So the Drua, they could be your big movers, but at the moment it's the Reds.
So I've got the Waratahs as the top team.
The Waratahs
unbeaten. Obviously the Reds are too. So that's sort of contradictory of me, but just the Waratahs. Although,
but they've had a bye.
Yes.
And you put the Crusaders in 5th because they had a bye and they were 1 from 2.
Never dive too much into my rationale because you'll find holes. What I will say about you Waratahs is even without Swaley on the bench playing, you still were doing that game of box kicks that we got to get that out of our games.
You talk to them.
Let's get it out. I mean, we've had who was busy chasing them over the weekend. One of the other young outside backs who's got lots of talent. Jorgensen. He was busy having to chase them all. Not his go either. Let's start playing some footy, Waratahs. Come on.
So best of the bunch, the Waratahs, but Beavers just got a problem with the style of play at the moment.
You won't be keeping number one spot if you keep playing like that.
Jersey Watch. So this is where we compare usually 2 All Blacks that have gone head-to-head over the weekend, or we look at a certain position that we think is of interest from the weekend. We go down to Wellington, and that's where I was, Beef. I wasn't in Hamilton.
Yeah, gotcha.
The great lights of the Waikato FMG Stadium. I was under the bright lights of Sky Stadium in Wellington. Cam Roiguard up against Finlay Christie. Always going to be a juicy battle.
Yes.
But you mentioned to me on Friday night at Albany the depth at halfback in New Zealand right now.
Huge.
It is ridiculous. Aaron Smith left, and he was Mr. Irreplaceable.
Yep.
Sam Whitelock, Brodie Retallick, and Aaron Smith, the 3 irreplaceables that left after the World Cup last year. But all of a sudden, all of these other halfbacks have just sprung up out of nowhere.
And remember last year, talk about last year, and I completely agreed with it at the time, we kept TJ around even though he was going because, I guess to protect the next generation, not to expose them too quickly. And I thought it was a smart move at the time. Now look at it.
Now look at them. Not just Hastie, who popped his hand up high in Folau Fakatava's absence, but if Folau himself, then you've got the 2 at the Chiefs.
Yep, Savea and Cortez.
1-2 punch.
Cortez has proven himself now at international.
Yeah. We then look at Wellington. Who won that battle?
Well, I mean, Finlay, in those positions, you've always got to look who won the game. And
so he had more influence.
Well,
Cam would have had more influence on the team.
Yes.
But Christie was in a winning side.
Well, Christie's team got the job done. And I always think that 9s and 10s are responsible for the result, all things being equal.
Funny that Christie wasn't on when in the last 15.
Yes.
He was off, but tried to come on.
Controversially, tried to get him back on.
But he actually wasn't part of the resurgence, wasn't he?
So
they were down by 8.
So Finley's always going to be, if you're looking for someone to be able to get the rucks, get the ball going quickly, great support player. You watch him from his lines, no one does support play better than Finlay Christie in this country as a halfback. His lines are incredible, wonderfully gifted on defence too, tough as they come. And then obviously Cam's your bigger halfback, big box kick, square, always a threat around the rucks, which that's what probably sets him apart, his ability to really, if you're standing close to a ruck, you can't leave it because he will see it and he will go. He will back himself 9 times out of 10 to beat you. So contrasting halfbacks, you talk about a 1-2 punch. Like, I know Finlay wasn't picked last year or he was sort of dumped out of the All Blacks. As far as 1-2 punches go, that's a contrasting 1-2 punch that you could easily roll out again. Whether Finlay gets another crack, who knows? But if the Blues get on a run again, his case will get stronger.
Cam Roiguard, the whole backing himself mentality reminds me of yourself, 10. And for those that don't know, you used to coach him at age grade level. Counties Manukau under-19s.
Yes.
Jock Hobbs Memorial.
In
Taupo, with a great Irishman.
Yes, with the great Irishman.
So coaching partners as well.
Yeah, we were. We had Cam in our team.
Was he a better 10 than 9?
At the time, I think we could have been.
Why?
His game understanding and game knowledge and wanting to know and dictating. Like, usually it's the 10's job to know all the plays, to do all the calls or what have you. But even at that age, he was like, well, I'll do it. From 9. And I was like, oh, he ain't talking, so yeah, you do it. You can do it. And then we did throw him at 10 a couple of times. And with his kicking game and that, you could have easily seen him being a 10. I mean, 9's worked out for him.
I mean, you can't argue now.
No, you can't argue now.
But he had the potential.
Yeah. I tell you what, while we're talking about the halfbacks, we were at North Harbour Stadium.
Does Nathan Hastie have the best box kick in New Zealand?
The very few halfbacks, I reckon, I've heard have that like thud off the boot that you can actually hear. He has that. He has the ability to kick long and you think, oh, he's overcooked it. But because he's got such height on it, you get your chase down there anyway.
Those are like rockets being sent up to the sky. You lose them when you're looking up to see where it's gone.
Like, he was a late replacement.
Yeah.
That first half, for me, yeah, he scored the try and what have you, but he was the reason that they were up by 21 points at half time because he kept putting them in the park, in the places in the park that you wanted to be. I thought Hastie was mildly impressive. He was good against the Waratahs. Jamie subbed them off straight away in the Waratahs after half a game and gave Fakatava half as well. And then Fakatava started the Blues victory. But for me, he's pretty impressive. His work around the rucks, talk about Cam being a threat around the rucks, so too is young Hastie. And he pops out, he probes, he's big enough to want to have a carry. There's a lot to like about him. And I mean, and we're talking about the Crusaders. Preston has had a wonderful start too. Yeah. So there's plenty there's probably, what have we named probably in the last 5 minutes? Probably 7.
Okay, so give me a top 3 right now on form.
Right now?
Jersey watch. If the All Blacks are picked this weekend, who's your 3 halfbacks in the squad on form?
On form, we'll probably have to have Cam there. Have Hastie at 2.
Ooh.
I'd have Hastie at 2. And then I'm tossing up on form Finlay Christie.
Okay, those are your top 3. It's interesting because you seem to throw out names that maybe not everyone watches all the time, but as soon as you say it, we're like, I'm going to watch that guy on the weekend and I'm going to see what he does. So we'll all be watching Hastie.
Better go well, boy. Who have I got this week?
Hey, did Damien do enough to push further up the list in your top 5 small rugby players of all time? Because Shane Williams, he commented on our post and gave you the big tick. Thanks, Beav.
Well, I think it was more saying, I know I am.
Waisali also. Waisali Sarevi got involved, so he reposted it on his page. So he must have accepted that he was number 2. I think you had him.
We had him at 2?
You had him at 2. Beautiful. But Damien needed a massive game against the Brumbies. Did he move?
He played well. He did play well, but
didn't move up the Richter scale.
No, we've seen him. When you think about Waisali, I just remember being a kid staying up 10 o'clock at night, it seemed like, to watch Hong Kong finals every year when we used to just send like the rock stars over and it'd break your hearts. So, geez, you've done well to get back in our good books there.
Shout out to the Fijian fans too, because we know there are plenty of people watching from Fiji.
Awesome to have you in.
We've seen your comments and we love having you involved in the program.
We're available for a show from a resort too, by the way.
Yeah, what's your favourite over there? You go Denarau or Outer Islands?
A lot of my Outer Islands are great, but a lot of my former school friends at Wesley are there, and shout out to Tamasi Songeta, my great number 8, who I always just pass the ball to and just get on the back.
Oh, they live there. They're not on holiday.
Oh no, they have I think their family's tied up with the Mana Island.
Oh, Mana Island looks so beautiful.
So we'll get in touch with Tamasi.
We'll do our best, and we may be over.
Yeah,
because we do love Fiji. Talking about Damien and magicians, the Jonahs.
Yes.
The Jonah Awards for round 3. Now, remember the Jonahs. So they are basically our player of the year.
Correct.
Player of the round, man of the round is what we call them, but we have named it after the legend himself because who else could you call the Super Rugby player of the year? So each person, we have one person each week, they get 1 point. So far, our leaderboard.
Yeah, well, it's a congested leaderboard. With 1 point is Damien McKenzie from
First
the Chiefs.
Equal.
And on 1 point over here is Tavatava Nawai from the Highlanders.
Yes. So round 3, who gets your single point?
So to join those two on First Equal will be none other than the world's finest rugby player, Ardie Savea, Moana Pacifica.
I love it.
Yep.
We'll talk about some special mentions in a moment, but let's talk about Ardie Savea's influence on this team.
Yes.
When you look at a player like that and you think, can he change the fortunes of this team? Can he generate more wins? Well, they were 21 points down at halftime. He was worth all 21 points, wasn't he? Because they came within a few of winning it. And who single-handedly not only his influence on what he was doing himself, but on others.
Yes.
To make the rest of the team grow. And he was making players around him better in the second half in Albany, and they almost did it.
Like, I know a lot of people say, if you ever want to watch, someone special, just go to a ground and just watch them. Don't watch river ballers. If you're ever in that position and you're going along to, I think, Friday night this week against the Hurricanes, just watch
Saturday
him.
night.
Just
$10 tickets too. They're doing great things.
Watch him for 10 minutes. Honestly, he gets through a ridiculous amount of work. You see him warming up, Curse, and you look at him and go, geez, he's got as bad a hips as you, Beaver.
I see him on the field limping around and I think, this guy's not going to last the 80.
And then you see his work rate, what he does, the positions he puts himself into. And you talk about inspiring his entire team, like the high ball catch and then running 50. That was just
magic.
That was just stupid for a number 8 to be
magic.
And then you see him, the try that got them back within 1, they'd set up a little tap play penalty at 5 out where he was about to just bash into him, lays it off, puts his teammate through. And the aura, well, not the aura, but I guess what he showed the team right then when a few of them went to hot dog it and get on the congratulations bandwagon, he's already back at halfway And you can see a lot of them just looked at, right, we've got to do the same. He's actually sprinting back because there's 4 minutes to go. We're down by a point. We've got to go again. And just his influence, his moments, not much in rugby can change things more than a turnover. And it's almost like he picks his moments. Well, he does pick his moments because he's very experienced at doing it. But the way he picks his moments, the timing and when to do it. And I mean, it was a funny side note, but his other mate, who's also first equal in the Jonahs this year, Tava Nawai, they had a running battle.
It was funny.
And it was brilliant.
Yeah, it was great.
It was so good. And quite often, Ardie's big moments were on Tava
against Big
Nawai.
Jim.
And I reckon I reckon he thought, right, how am I going to really show my lot? I'm going to go after their guy that's doing all the damage this year and make him mine tonight. And it was a brilliant battle. And I love that the Big Jim, he just kept going at him too. He wasn't shying away from it. It was brilliant.
I want to say this in the politest possible way, but Ardie Savea is not in a team of superstars.
No.
And this
they
is
would acknowledge that.
The nicest possible way of putting it, that you have put one of the greatest players in the world in a team without any other superstars. Who else? And you get involved in this conversation as well. This is where we want you to jump into the DMs. The direct messages are open, or post in the comments and join this conversation. Who else in World Rugby right now would have that bigger impact if you took Ardie out of Moana Pacifica and you put someone else in? Who is having that same impact to inspire and make the players around him better? And they don't lose anything from their own performance. You know, often players lose some of themselves because they're trying too hard, they're doing too much. Well, 3 weeks in a row, he has proved the complete opposite.
Well, I think you've seen a little, not quite to the impact, but a little smidgen of it. Smidgen, probably gone the wrong word again. A little example of it with the Wallabies last year in the tour. Su'ali's gone in there. If you're thinking global,
Damien's a superstar, but he's in a superstar team.
He is.
We're talking about a team that don't have these players in that 15 or 23.
No. Someone like McKenzie could have the same impact because of a position he plays. And that's one thing. Like if you threw him in one of the struggling teams,
you think he still would have the same impact because he's driving the team.
Yeah. I mean, Ardie's
that's even more remarkable because Ardie's not.
No.
And he's having that bigger influence.
He's in a position which stands out as a great player in that position, but it's not what people generally think of as a position that can influence results.
Yeah.
And yes, they haven't got the win yet, but if they had got that extra point against the Landers,
they easily could have had 3 wins already, just like the Drua.
Globally, you'd have to say DuPont. If you threw DuPont in,
I'm a big DuPont fan.
You're
Beavers not.
Oh no!
Yet to be convinced in big games. I think I've heard him say before.
Your wording is the greatest of all time. I think
he does have GOAT value about him if he wins the next Rugby World Cup.
Yes. Now
he is one of the greats of World Rugby, but he needs to win a World Cup.
Now we're in episode 3, folks. I just want you to know.
The Irish fans came at you last week. The Frenchies are going to be doing it this.
My co-worker here loves a goat quote. There must be that many goats running around the world.
There's not many.
There is that many goats running around. I walked in here with coffee for her and I was a goat. So it's remarkable.
I don't drink coffee.
It's remarkable.
That's how much he knows me.
And I'm still a goat. So just be careful not to get caught up. But no, I think if you threw a DuPont,
he would have that bigger impact.
100% he would.
But he's in the driving seat again.
Again in the driving seat. Richie Moanga over, and if you threw him into a struggling franchise right now, I would think he would have an impact. But the thing around the Ardie thing is, as you say, like his surroundings with the team that have been the bottom for the last couple of years, to be able to go in there.
This team was getting hidings. They couldn't stay. If the game wasn't already over at halftime, by the end of the game, they would be 30, 40 points behind. He's been within 3 really small margins. They almost beat the Force. The Reds, a little bit more of
got out of control.
Yeah, but again, that game on the weekend against a team that has just beaten the defending champions, it's small margins this year.
And they were 21 points down at halftime.
21 down. No,
the floodgates.
This is going to be a hiding now. It wasn't. They managed to come back.
It's the gentle nor'easter I talked to you about at halftime that you mocked, but the nor'easter got them home as well as Ardie Savea.
Honestly, remarkable. Is there no one else you would throw in that category? What about a Peter Steph Dutoit? Could he not have that same impact?
He plays similar, doesn't he? when you think
I
about,
just wonder if someone like that could have that bigger impact on a team, not just the 9s and 10s.
Yeah, and I guess from a environment and a culture, which you got to talk about with Ardie going into the Moana team, because it's more than just the rugby team. Sia Khaleesi.
Yes, he could.
Going back to a South African team.
Inspirational.
Yeah. So, yeah. But Peter Steph, that's a good one. We've possibly forgotten one there.
Yeah, don't forget about our South African friends. Hello. Hello to our South African friends.
Hope you're all lekker over there.
The aftermatch. It's the name of the show. You come for the rugby, but you stay for the aftermatch. Some of the most superb rugby stories going around. We had a request. Sent through because one of you 2 weeks ago said Beaver has the best stories, absolutely loving it. Imagine some of the roomies. He would have been a fantastic roomie. I'm not sure if he would have been. At one point, he was telling me on the weekend, there was about 70 of those young Chiefs Waikato boys in the same flat. They used to call it a halfway house, boys popping in and out, and he was the self-professed cleaner of the house.
Yeah, needless to say, it was messy, yes, because of course it was culture round.
It was culture round.
There were so many...
Those jerseys, they were a beautiful thing, what we saw at Albany Stadium that Moana Pacifica will bring. The red, white and blue of Samoa and Tonga combined colours from the Pacific Island team.
Yeah, those were striking jerseys and great to see. But so much, I guess, of the publicity and the hype around it from the broadcasting avenues especially was... that game where Sione Lawaki and Sitiveni Sivivatu were stars of the show. And, of course, sadly, my great teammate Sione's no longer with us. But, yes, you mentioned the halfway house. At that time, I was very much just on the coattails. I think I was maybe Chiefs B, a 19-year-old. But we were all in one house. So they were off living their life and tearing up the international world while I was at home vacuuming.
Oh, you were looking after the place.
Cleaning the bench. Is that how you clean a bench? Yeah, cleaning the bench. The two of us, Liam was in with us.
Travelling the world on the 7 circuit.
He was off on the 7 circuit. So again, I'm at home cleaning. Who else was in there? Stephen Stefano, Chiefs and Highlanders, loose forward. So we had a very full house, but yeah, certainly at times very transity. And it was just basically left up to me to hold down the fort.
So you were the cook, the cleaner, the landlord.
Yeah, cooking probably would be a stretch.
Signature dish? Did you have one?
I would go and buy Sitiveni chicken drumsticks because he used to make this phenomenal chicken curry that his auntie first started making for me. And then when we knew that we were going to live together, his auntie would make sure that he would still cook it for me. So my part of cooking was buying the chicken drumsticks.
Creamy chicken curry.
No, it wasn't creamy. No, it was curry.
Yeah.
There's no cream involved. No. Potatoes. And just, we had to get out the meat cleaver and just cut the drummies in half and leave them fully in the pot, in the broth. And you used to have, just gnaw away on them and you just have the bowl over here for the drumstick bones.
Okay, well, you're not going to say it, so I'll say it. Beaver's signature dish, the Hallis sausages, pre-cooked, 30-pack from the Mad Butcher. Bread and butter, or
couldn't afford
if you remember, those big, what are they called? Like mussel, basically a mussel barge put into the supermarket in the seafood section that had the little waterfall coming down. Fill a bag of those for $5 and you're away.
Well, for my $7.5 grand Waikato contract at the time, the mussels 4 nights a week was a standard go-to. If I was having a financially good week, it would be a tin of tomatoes on top. The non-branded sort of course, 99 cents at the time, and away I went.
Oh, so that's what you were eating. Sitiveni's curry, Sitiveni's chicken curry, your pre-cooked Hallis sausages, which still remain a staple in the freezer in the Donald household to this day. He says it's for the children, but we probably all know better.
They don't even like them.
And the mussels, the bag of mussels with a tin tomato.
I actually think there might have been for a while there, I think we were given a countdown card too. But I don't know how much action that saw.
Okay, well, tell me about the Outback card, because here's another comment.
Excuse me?
Here's another comment. Following your John Mitchell story last week about how you dropped your teammates in it, you went out,
I never dropped them in it.
Snuck back to Hamilton and never stood up or took responsibility for your actions while your other 2 teammates got dropped. Someone commented about this legend wearing a bear suit in the back in the day that looked strikingly familiar.
Was there a name to that message too, or where did that come from?
I can't tell you the name.
Look, there's guilty. I'll start by saying guilty.
Student nights would get away on you, would they?
But it could be any one of the multiple situations. End of season was always obviously dress up. We would always host a Christmas party, me and Cucks, at our flat, and we would drift into town, usually dress up. But one of the highlights of the year, and I think it's been banned now from, the world's got 2PC or what have you, but we used to do a Waikato Mile, and we used to start at one end of Victoria Street and end up down essentially in the outback at the bottom end. And if you've ever been to Hamilton, if you go into all the side pockets of that Victoria Street, there's about 25 pubs that you can hit all the way down, and that was also a dress up. So it was possibly one of those nights.
I was part of the dress up.
But yeah, the Waikato Mile was always circled in the calendar, essentially Christmas Day.
And everyone got involved in this?
Everyone got involved.
Including coaches?
Some coaches who were invited, some weren't.
Who was invited?
I think Gaddy might have actually done one.
One and done.
And Gibbo would have done one. So yeah, a fair few of them got into it. It was very tough though, because we'd always go left, right, and whatever side of the street you're on, you had to drink with that hand, and obviously there was easily young players caught out, and there was all sorts of games going on. But possibly if I was in the outback in a bear suit, it wasn't my standard Saturday outfit, but it was on the back of that.
I think you've probably just raised some more questions, and there will be more comments and more stories that come up from the Waikato Mile. Talking coaches, though.
Yep.
You've just mentioned a couple. You dropped a few in it last week, but what about the coach in New Zealand that is off to coach Munster? He's going to win a Super Rugby title with the Chiefs first.
Yes.
Because he's the most successful coach in Super Rugby right now. He's got the best record, but he hasn't won a title.
Yeah.
He's got that to do in 2025, this year, before he heads away. And I'm talking about Clayton McMillan. That's massive news.
Huge news. And I don't know if, people close to it would have known about it, but I certainly hadn't heard anything about that, because I guess he's got the Chiefs back to a brilliant level. And touched on it there. They lost their way a bit after Wrens, not necessarily results-wise, although, yes, results-wise had slipped. But he certainly got them back to, the culture, the ethos, what the team means to not just themselves, but the community, and tying them back up. So he's done a great job there as far as the franchise goes. And he's also got them at a level playing-wise now. The depth in that squad that he's built up over the last couple of years, multiple positions have huge depth. I was surprised, but when you sit back and think about it, why not? Why not? If Munster, one of the big-name clubs of World Rugby, go over there. What impact can he have on Munster? Because Leinster's the glamour club in Ireland. Well, now
Munster's
it is.
not.
It used to be Munster. And now, from what you see and not having intimate knowledge of it all, Leinster probably heavily funded compared to what goes on at Munster, and you just have to look at it by the signings and who's there. So it'll be not as easy for him as possibly other teams with maybe bigger checkbooks, but at Munster you've got Thomond Park and an unbelievable rugby public supporting the place. So I think he'll love that side of things. And if he can get them firing along and getting them to compete in Europe again, because they used to be the kings of Europe. Munster, that was what
when who was playing for them?
Oh, Ron O'Gara. He was their main man, and Peter Stringer and the likes, Paul O'Connell. So, and even further back than that, they've got this mystique about them in Europe. That's what a lot of the Europe legends are built on, is Munster back in the day. So he's going into a proud club. But from a personal point of view for him, he's now goes over there. New Zealand rugby from a higher level has proven in the past they like to see their coaches with overseas experience.
So is he being lined up to be the next All Blacks coach? I think that's the biggest question that's come out of this, is people start asking the question, have New Zealand rugby, why is he going over? Yeah. Have they let him go to get international experience to bring him back? Like what all the great coaches have done.
Apart from Razor.
He's the only one that never did.
Yeah.
They put him in immediately.
Is this
what Clayton McMillan, is this the end game for him? If you look at what not the next step, but the next step is, or could you see him, and who says we don't love Ireland? Look at how much we've talked about Ireland today. Could he end up being the next coach of Ireland, and after Andy Farrell?
Well, I think they've already earmarked, from what you hear, is Paul O'Connell, I think, and then obviously Ronan Gara's around. But No, I just think you might be right. I mean, I don't know if New Zealand would tap him on the shoulder and say, you're taking over from Razor in 3 years' time, but they've probably said, look, it's not going to hurt you. He's coaching for New Zealand A, for example. So if you're looking at it from a player point of view, then, that's where you're ranked. So maybe they didn't stand in his way, Kirst. And maybe, because
he's still contracted for another year. Yeah, he's been released from his contract.
So they haven't stood in his way, seen the value of the opportunity, seen, I guess, the state that the Chiefs are in, and they must be confident knowing that that's not going to change.
It raises another question, though. One, would he be disappointed if they didn't win the title this year? Which means he walks away. He walks away having brought the Chiefs back up, but no title.
Of course he would be disappointed. He'd be disappointed for the last 3 years. And
who takes over the Chiefs?
I have.
Have you put your hand up?
No, I'm too busy with the aftermatch. How would you survive if I took the Chiefs?
Imagine if you took the Chiefs. The Waikato Mile would be back.
Be back. I don't care how woke the world's got. We'll be back. But no, and this, hand on heart, I have no oil whatsoever on this.
What would your gut feeling be?
Jonah Gibbs.
Jonah Gibbs to take over as head coach.
Hands down. Proven overseas, experienced, successful, Chiefs as they come, and is in the building. But that, I can assure you, don't start any...
I'm just thinking.
I know what you're
He's got no oil on his team.
I know.
His bread and butter team. He's come in with Kalyn Ponga signing for a New Zealand Super Rugby franchise, people, an Australian league player, but he's got no oil on his own team.
No, because that's abusing my position. I do not ring up my people and say, hey, who's going to be the next coach?
But Jonah Gibbs.
But I would say, hands down, it's Jonah Gibbs. And on no oil, though. Can I make that clear? No oil there.
Okay, so 6 years he's contracted with Munster.
Yep.
Does he stay there for the 6 years?
Is it a 6-year deal?
6-year deal.
Whoa. What does that tie you up to, the next World Cup?
America.
Yeah, okay. No, I think 6 years will be enough.
2031.
There you go. I didn't realise it was a 6-year.
6-year deal.
Nice.
Okay.
They lock up your future, Clayton.
He's another coach who... How can you not be impressed with this fella?
Yes.
You know who I'm talking about. Jamie Joseph. He's a bit like Ardie Savea. Ardie Savea was put in a team, a superstar amongst non-superstar. Jamie Joseph gets put in charge of a team of, they're not nobodies, but they're not massive stars of Super Rugby. He did it in 2015 with Tony Brown and took them to the promised land. He's been put back into another team that have been trying to recruit all of these youngsters. They weren't trying to recruit the superstars. He wanted to create a culture and he wanted to grow players. So it was always a long-term plan. It was never an immediate fix. But he has had an immediate impact.
Remarkable. I mean, we both know that.
He's the Ardie Savea of the coaching world is what I'm trying to say.
He has been. And again,
that's his impact.
It's similar. It goes into an environment that he is Otago and Landers through and through. We both know that the Landers couldn't recruit anyone.
Yep.
They offered big money to guys on fringes of other squads. They all got knocked back. And if you had said at the start of, and this is no disrespect to the current Highlanders crew.
They're second in the New Zealand conference right now.
I was going to say, you give me a piece of paper and say, this team's a potential winner of the competition, you'd say, well, what's happened to the other 3 or 4? But now, mate, I genuinely believe they could have a chance at winning this thing.
Because of Jamie Joseph.
You have to put it down to 90% him. Like, he's got guys that we'd never heard of playing brilliantly well.
So, will he ever get a chance to coach New Zealand? He's applied twice now for the role.
Well, he'd be a package, wouldn't he? He'd come with...
I'd take the package.
He'd come widely regarded with one of the great rugby minds of the world.
I'd take them both. One's currently coaching South Africa.
Yeah.
That's how widely regarded he is as a coach.
Intimate knowledge of your, that's what they say, get you close to your enemies or whatever?
Keep your friends close and your enemies closer, Beav.
So maybe Jamie's now got a plan. I'll go chuck Brownie over there.
And then we'll bring him back. And that's how we bake them for the next World Cup or the one after.
We'll take them down in America.
Does he ever get his chance? Or does he have to go offshore for another international coaching gig?
I'd love to see him, if he's not going to be the All Black coach, you'd love to see him at a team, no disrespect to Japan, but at a team that could...
Top 4 team.
A top 4 team that could rock things up a bit. And,
And when you're saying top 4, who are the top 4 nations for you?
Well, obviously you've got the All Blacks in South Africa.
Yes.
France.
Yes.
You can't imagine Jamie learning French overnight, so let's rule them out. vacancies. Wallabies? Don't know.
We talked about it last week.
Yeah.
They've had so many Kiwi coaches. Is it time for another?
I don't know if they would go.
You don't think? Not for a home World Cup.
No, not for a home World Cup.
But potentially future if Jamie doesn't get an opportunity with New Zealand. Tough bugger. I tell you what, lovely.
Yes.
Lovely, but I wouldn't want to be coached by him.
You're not up for that?
Not after just a few small comments after we spoke to him on Friday night.
Yeah, but look at your career and how well your career is going. Imagine if you got the Jamie Joseph coaching on top of...
I would have been elevated to the next level.
I think about Nawai and Hastie right now. What would Stanway be like if she got a bit of coaching from Jamie Joseph?
I needed Jamie and Dame Nolene.
Yes.
I needed a bit of discipline in my life. It's not what I wanted, but I needed it.
For those that don't know, Kirst would have been one of our greatest silver fern players had she not had injury concerns. And
it's probably more of an attitude thing, I would say.
Off-court issues.
Attitude. Yeah, I would have been involved in the Waikato Mile had it have been in the Bay of Plenty. So there were a few issues there, teething issues. Righto, round 4 predictions.
Yes.
We'll go
Can I say
beforehand,
there's a boil over coming and I don't know where.
Oh.
We have a proper, we've had great results so far, but there's something happening this weekend.
Round 4.
Yeah, so we've had competitive games, but this is the round that'll shock the competition.
Are you on the call again this weekend?
No, I'm actually reviewing things with you on Sunday night.
Great.
Yes.
I love it when you review things. Round 4 predictions. Super Rugby, round 4. Here we go. The aftermatch. Blues, Brumbies.
Yeah, well, now after making my big statement that there's going to be an upset that
It's the Brumbies.
No, it's not. Blues.
It's the Blues for you?
Yep. Just.
Can I say the Brumbies?
Yes, you can.
We
need an absolute boil-over.
That's my upset. I don't know if it would be an absolute boil-over, but the Blues just haven't been all that convincing. And if they're fixed with Beauden at 15 for now, I think the Brumbies are going to push them closer than what people may expect.
Curse, like all good podcasts, we've let this out before Wednesday team naming.
Correct.
So we don't know who's playing.
No, we don't know who's playing. Yeah. Exactly.
That's what they do on all good podcasts. They make it date relevant.
In Lautoka. Now,
some people
on Saturday afternoon.
Some people have tried to tell me, because I've mentioned the ball overs happening this weekend to a few people.
You're saying it's the Chiefs?
No, some people have tried to tell me.
It's the Drewers' first one of the year.
Some people have tried to tell me this is the one. And
is the man with the Tesla back playing this weekend?
I'd say he's going to be on the plane.
There you go. Oh, what a game to come into. Lautoka, 50 degrees.
Yeah. Be a bit of a
raucous
shock. Bit different to tackling little Japanese boy, Sean. Wait until the Drewers start running at you.
So, Chiefs Drewer.
I have to go Chiefs.
You have to go Chiefs.
Yep.
But it could be the Drewer time, and I'm going to say the Drewer.
And look, if the Drewer got it done after seeing them last few weeks, it would be well deserved.
Jeez, you'd be hiding if you're a little guy in the Chiefs, wouldn't you? When you go over there.
Honestly. They have been so desperately unlucky the last couple of weeks.
I reckon they win at home. They win at home in Lautoka this weekend. Boys are back home, eating chicken curry. That's the draw for me. Moana Pacifica up against the Hurricanes. What makes this juicy? Ardie Savea. Personal. It's personal against the Hurricanes.
Ticket sales through the roof, I've heard.
$10 tickets. And I tell you what, the atmosphere at North Harbour Stadium in Albany was brilliant last week.
Yes.
You may have not always been able to see it. Kids on the bank, playing touch rugby, stands were full, they had the band playing. It was a great atmosphere in rugby. It almost felt like that you were in the islands, just like what we see in Fiji. It's going to be bigger this weekend. More tickets have already been sold.
Brilliant.
Ardie against his old side.
Yep, and you mentioned, I don't know what the crowd figure was there against the Landers, but whatever it was, it felt like you're at a full stadium elsewhere.
Is this the boil over?
Yep.
That's the boil over.
Yep.
You're convinced.
Yeah.
What's convinced you?
I'm convinced that there's a boil over this weekend.
So you've just picked one.
I've just picked one, and it's the middle game on my piece of paper. So this is it.
That's the theory, people.
And I talked to Tana afterwards.
Yes.
And he didn't say this is the ball over, but I just love Tana, so I'm going.
Everyone loves Tana.
I'm going more.
Okay. I would love to see it. I don't know if it's going to happen. But
how many ball overs do you want? You've already tipped
one. I've already picked. No, I've picked the Brumbies and I've got the Drewer.
Yeah,
and to be honest,
you're multi.
That's how close the competition is,
We're going to have a new studio next week if your multi comes in.
What's wrong with our studio?
Nothing's wrong with it, but
It's a great studio.
we might have a crowd next week.
Moana, Hurricanes. Okay, I'll just go the opposite to you. I'll go the Hurricanes. But honestly, it could happen. It could happen. Either any of those three first games could happen.
I mean, I'm going to stick to it because I've smelt the ball over. However, there must be Proctors and Armuas and Lomaxes.
Not yet.
Floating around? No?
No.
Okay.
And the Hurricanes, 3 injuries over the weekend.
Okay.
3 HAAs, 3 most likely not available. And I would say Hoskins won't be available for the Blues as well. He will not be available, let's be honest. He went straight at Peter Lakai. That was personal.
Suddenly, yes.
That was definitely personal.
But it's brilliant.
I know.
So it should be.
Why didn't we make more of a big deal? That was personal.
So it should
Someone
be.
took someone else's jersey.
100%.
Did you used to do that? Sort of carry on.
No. Well,
Who was it personal for you? Against?
Well, obviously, you had DC was always going to get picked. So anyone else that was playing 10 in New Zealand,
personal.
it was personal. It had to be.
But what did you do to them?
No, well, I mean, I couldn't do much. Bit of this.
You didn't
Few
go
late. Back then, you could late shoulders. Like, I never used my shoulder when I tackled, but I could use your late.
Who'd you late shoulder?
Well, anyone that wasn't DC.
Who?
You name a 10 that was playing at the time.
I don't know. Colin Slade?
Well, probably Cruds, Slady, Jimmy Gops was around at the time.
Okay.
Stevie Brett. You know, it was personal.
Anyone. Did you laugh about it after?
No. Because Cucks would wind me up that he reckons I was friends with no other 10 in the country. And I just, you had to take it personal.
Okay, so it's going to be...
I'm friends with them now. Well, Cruds are great man now.
Okay, let's move on. Waratahs Force. Waratahs. I'm going Tars. Your top Australian team.
No, I'm going Force because the Waratahs, unless I'll only pick you.
Absolutely.
Unless you
put the box kicks away.
Yeah, put that box kick and forcing Edmund into a pocket to do bombs. Until you ditch that tactic, I'm picking Force.
Okay, Crusaders Reds. Sunday afternoon, here's the story. James O'Connor up against his former side. Does he start at 10?
No.
He's off the bench.
He's off the bench again. Taha's looking good.
Okay.
He's doing a good job. I think you just got to keep building him, and James come off the bench against the Reds.
How do you reckon they go after their bye week? I see most of them were in Queenstown at the golf, which Israel Dagg failed to turn up to, by the way.
He was there.
He was there.
Yeah, just didn't take his putter after day one.
You jinxed him.
I know.
You jinxed him.
He played too well.
We thought we were going to review the golf. We'll probably just leave it.
Shout out to Izzy. Love you, mate. He didn't answer my call yesterday. I tried to ring him.
He's sulking.
I know. Look,
Crusaders Reds Sunday afternoon. Brilliant, by the way. 3 o'clock.
Let's pack out. It's not Orange Theory anymore.
It's not Orange Theory.
No.
What is it?
I said that to their CEO on radio the other day, and he corrected me quickly. It's something. Christchurch Stadium. No, it's
Addington.
Addington. At Addington, the Crusaders, again, by the narrowest of margins, the Reds will fancy their chances. That'll be on. That could be the ball over. There could be ball overs.
That's 5 boil overs.
It could be ball overs everywhere. What I'm saying is it's great competition.
You said round 4 there'll be a boil over. He just doesn't know which one it is.
Yeah.
He circled the middle one on his page. I'm going Crusaders for this over the Reds. Super Rugby Opaki as well kicked off on the weekend. You've got the house on the Blues women. Look like a good bet if you saw them on the weekend. Absolute drubbing against the Poa. They take on the Chiefs Manawa this weekend. Rematch of the final.
Yes.
Chiefs got done over by Matatu. It's Blues for me. And they will win this entire competition.
As long as they do that, I'm happy, but the Chiefs will win the round robin fixture.
Chiefs are winning this one. Matatu Poa, so Wellington up against the South Island. It'll be Matatu for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm going South Islanders. At home.
Power for me. I'll go something different.
It's the Poa. There you go. That is the aftermatch. You come for the rugby, stay for the aftermatch. If you like anything, if you don't like anything, if you want to drop us any comments, DMs, you know exactly what to do. Inbox is always open.
Subscribe
to our YouTube. That will tell you exactly when our new shows are coming out. But every Tuesday, we have a brand new episode dropping. And we'll talk about what you want to talk about.
And you tell me, this TikTok thing's going crazy for us.
TikTok's going crazy. The talkers.
You're going to have to put it on my phone.
You need it.
I need to know what
you
TikTok
need to download
is.
it.
Yes. And look, subscribe to the YouTube
Trade
thing.
your Temu in, your Temu account for your TikTok.
I could never change it. I could never trade that in. I'll just have to buy more memory foam.
There you go. We're done. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for the beautiful snapper.
You're welcome. Enjoy that. Put a light coating of, Panko crumb.
Panko crumb. Ooh, fancy.
Shallow fry. And, Bowie will love it.
Imagine the fish we could get in Fiji. That's why we need to go over to Mana Island, game at Lautoka, out to the islands.
What's the logistics from Mana Island to Lautoka?
Fly or boat?
We'll work on it.
We'll see you next week.